Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're wrestling with a paradox that I think really defines modern financial life.
hmm
It's this question of why some people can diligently work 40, 50, even 60 hours a week
Mm.
for decades, always optimizing their salary,
Mm.
and yet they retire dependent on pensions or Social Security.
Well, others somehow build this lasting, self-sustaining wealth that offers true freedom.
Exactly. What is the difference there?
It's the central mystery, isn't it? The traditional belief is that effort equals wealth. You just work harder.
Right. Work hard, get rich. Simple.
But the sources we've distilled for today, they reveal that the vast majority of people are just engaged in a really simple temporary transaction. They're trading their finite time for a fixed lineal paycheck.
They're paid to survive.
They are paid to survive, but they are absolutely not paid to be free.
That distinction is the absolute dividing line, I think. When the foundational philosophy we're examining states income keeps you alive but assets set you free, what they're doing is laying down a challenge to the entire traditional system of salaried work.
It's a huge challenge because income is temporary, right? It stops when you stop working.
Yeah, the moment you clock out for the last time, it's gone.
But assets, if you structure them correctly, they can be permanent. They work for you perpetually. The difference is really in the work itself. Most people work for money,
Chasing the paycheck.
chasing the paycheck. The wealthy, however, they work primarily to plant seeds, to acquire assets that will eventually generate more money than their labor ever could.
It's a different goal entirely.
A completely different goal. And if you don't intentionally teach your money how to work for you, you will always, by default, be working for money. It's like the inescapable law of financial gravity.
So our mission for you, the listener, is to really move beyond the limits of that paycheck. We've synthesized these 12 golden principles that serve as the foundational philosophy and the discipline for building real wealth.
And we've grouped them into 4 thematic sections to make it easier to digest. We have mindset, discipline, multiplication, and finally, optimization.
Think of this as the playbook for turning all that hard work you're already doing into durable freedom.
And this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, not at all. It's a deep dive into financial philosophy. We're really aiming for those aha moments that clarify the mechanisms of generational wealth, starting now with the most critical shift of all.
The move from labor to leverage. So, principle number 1 is where everything pivots. Our source material describes this young, ambitious worker who thought the answer was just to maximize the paycheck. He worked harder, he got promotions, he watched his income climb. But what was the inevitable result?
Well, he realized he was just running on what they call the hamster wheel.
Right, or what economists call lifestyle inflation.
Exactly. As his income increased, his spending it expanded to fill the new space. He bought a better car, a bigger house, more expensive vacations.
He looked richer.
He looked richer on paper, but he was just as financially vulnerable as he was before. And the critical realization for him was that the problem wasn't the income amount. The problem was his entire financial philosophy. He was focused on consumption, not cultivation.
The sources really drive this home with that powerful declaration. Income will feed you, but assets will free you.
Mm-hmm.
Most people spend their lives maximizing their immediate standard of living. The rich, on the other hand, spend their lives maximizing their future optionality.
And that's where the farmer metaphor becomes so indispensable. Imagine your monthly paycheck is a bag of high-quality seeds.
Okay.
The majority of people, the consumers, they take that bag of seeds and they eat every single one to survive and enjoy today.
You have a great meal tonight.
A fantastic meal. They live luxuriously today, but they have to return to the field tomorrow because they have no foundation. They have nothing to plant.
But the wealthy, who the source calls the farmers, they adopt a totally different discipline.
Totally different. They eat enough of the seeds to survive comfortably, sure, but they meticulously set aside and plant the rest. They're accepting a smaller meal today for a harvest that will feed them for months or even years without them having to work.
It's that simple choice. If you eat all your seeds this season, you are forced to be a laborer next season.
It's a guarantee. And this philosophical difference is laid bare in this powerful test of wealth anecdote. You have the high-income earner, we can call him the image man, who drives the luxury cars, wears the designer clothes.
He looks rich. To the world, he is the picture of success.
He is. His income is high, it supports a massive monthly spending habit, and it's often fueled by debt, which is key.
And when the author asked him that simple, critical question, if you stopped working right now, could you maintain your current lifestyle for 1 year solely based on your assets?
The response was just a telling silence.
Because the answer was no.
The answer was no. He was earning, say, $500,000 a year, yet he was profoundly poor in assets. He had maximized his salary, but his net wealth, what he actually owned free and clear that paid him back, it was negligible.
And this is why the rich don't count how much they make in a year.
No, they count what they build, the long-term, self-sustaining financial structures.
But let's push back on this a little, on the counterintuitive example of discipline over numbers. How can someone earning, say, just $2,000 a month possibly become free sooner than someone earning $20,000 a month? That seems impractical. I mean, real assets require real capital.
That's a crucial question, and the answer lies in the behavioral outcome, not the mathematical one. The person earning $20,000 a month often has $19,500 in monthly expenses.
The huge mortgage, 2 car payments, private school tuition.
Exactly. Their surplus is $500, and they are constantly stressed trying to maintain that lifestyle.
Okay, so what about the lower earner?
The lower earner, let's say they earn $2,000 and have $1,500 in expenses. They have the same $500 surplus. But, and this is the important part, they develop the discipline to invest that $500 every single month. They learn to live beneath their means by choice.
That's the skill they're building.
That is the skill. So when the high earner gets a raise to $25,000, what do? They instantly upgrade their car and their spending jumps to $24,500. They are still just $500 away from freedom.
They're still on the hamster wheel. It just got a little shinier.
It just got shinier. But when the lower earner gets a raise to $3,000, because they have mastered the discipline of living on $1,500, they now have $1,500 to invest. Their investment rate scales exponentially with every raise.
While the high earner just scales their consumption.
That's it. Discipline creates freedom, not the dollar amount. Investing is not what rich people do, it's how they became rich.
And this requires us to broaden our definition of what an investment even is. We're not just talking about buying shares of stock here.
Absolutely not. An investment is anything that promises a return on your time, your effort, or your capital. The source material puts a huge emphasis on intangible assets.
Like buying a book.
Buying a book, taking a course, that's an investment in your human capital, your ability to create value. Daring to start a business idea, even if it fails, is an investment in learning an entrepreneurial skill. Money must carry a mission.
A mission to what?
A mission to grow, to serve, and ultimately to free you. If a dollar just sits idle in a bank account, it's actually losing value to inflation. If it's invested, it's out there fighting for your future.
Okay, so once we've commanded our money to work for us, we have to look at how we earn it in the first place. And that brings us to principle 5. Serve value, not hours. I call this the hard realization about the ceiling of time.
The ceiling of time is a brutal mathematical constraint. There are 24 hours in a day, and you cannot physically work all of them indefinitely. So if your income model relies solely on linear labor trading, 1 hour for X dollars, you hit an absolute ceiling.
The moment you stop working, the money stops flowing. It's a direct one-to-one trade.
And the source material offers this powerful reframing. Money doesn't follow the hardest worker.
That's so counterintuitive to what we're all taught.
It is, but money follows the one who creates the most value. Society doesn't pay you for how long you sat at your desk. It pays you for the impact you created in that time.
So if you're paid $50 an hour, it means the market currently thinks the value you deliver in 60 minutes is worth $50.
Precisely. If you want to earn $100 an hour, the solution isn't to work 2 shifts. The solution is to figure out how to double the value you create in that single hour. This is the difference between simple efficiency and true leverage.
The advice here can sometimes sound a bit generic, like, be more helpful. But what does that really mean in practice? Let's use the example of the successful salesperson from the source.
Okay. The average salesperson focuses on the commission, how much they earn. Their effort is transactional. It's about closing the deal.
What's in it for me?
Exactly. The exceptional salesperson, the one who scales their value, focuses on solving the client's deepest problem. Their mindset shift is, my job isn't to sell, my job is to consult and help this person acquire exactly what they need to thrive.
And the source says that once this shift in focus happened, from selling to serving, that salesperson's income doubled, then tripled, without adding extra hours.
Why? Because they were delivering disproportionately higher value. Clients start to trust them, they refer them, they come back for more. That trust and reputation, that is leverage.
The wealthiest people in the world have mastered this idea of scaling value.
They've mastered it. They leverage their intellect and technology to solve big problems for millions of people at once. Look at someone like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. They aren't paid for clocking in 18 hours a day.
No, they're paid for building these complex automated systems that deliver immense value.
Right. Whether it's instantaneous delivery through Amazon or scalable communication via satellite, their value delivery is completely decoupled from their immediate time input.
So for the listener who is currently an employee, this means they need to stop that internal dialogue of, I'm working so hard, why don't I get a raise?
And shift it
To, how can I solve a problem for my company that is worth $100,000 a year, even if I only work on it for 5 hours?
Exactly. You ask, how can I help the company save money or improve efficiency by a magnitude that makes my salary seem cheap? And if you're an entrepreneur, the question is, how can I help more people with less cost using technology or systems to scale my solution?
The focus becomes impact.
It's all about impact. Stop asking, how can I make more money? And start asking, how can I maximize my helpfulness to the world?
And when money becomes the natural attraction generated by that immense value, the chase is over. It's not a transaction of time anymore. It's a reward for impact. That philosophical shift is absolutely critical. But wealth is not just a mental construct. It requires the hard, often tedious work of building financial muscles, discipline.
Which leads us right into section 2.
Right. Building the discipline.
And principle 2 is crucial here because it defines wealth not as a jackpot or a single lottery win, but as a long-term process and skill built through, honestly, agonizing repetition.
The fundamental difference between the financially fragile and the financially free is behavioral.
It's what they do with their seeds. Do you spend them or do you plant them?
And the source challenges that common procrastination hurdle, which is the idea that you need a large sum to even start.
Right. I'll start investing when I get that big promotion.
You don't wait for discipline to start. You start to get discipline.
People often believe they need to be earning 6 figures before they can even think about saving or investing, which is just a massive psychological barrier. This misunderstanding delays the most critical factor of all, which is time. You have to develop the muscle of setting money aside, even if it's painful and small at first.
The anecdote of the $5 student just perfectly illustrates this procrastination tax.
It's a great story. This student was advised to start setting aside just $5 a week, a ridiculously small, non-impactful amount.
He laughed at the advice, right? He said something like, $5 a week won't change my life, so why even bother?
And the power of the story comes 3 years later. When the mentor followed up with him, the student admitted he still hadn't started. He was still waiting for the perfect moment, the big promotion, the large sum of money.
So he lost 156 weeks.
He lost 156 weeks of habit building and, more importantly, 156 weeks of compound interest working on his behalf, no matter how small the amount was. He proved that consistency, not size, is the foundation of the skill of wealth.
The goal isn't to get rich immediately with that $5.
Not at all.
The goal is to practice the behavior of paying your future self first. It's about establishing the practical habit.
Automatically setting aside 10% or 5 or even 2% of every single paycheck before you allow yourself to spend any of it.
You have to make it automatic.
You have to. Think of it as an involuntary commitment to your future self. That automated transfer means you never even see the money, so you never miss it. You're training yourself to operate on 90% of your income. Once that habit is cemented, scaling it when your income increases becomes effortless.
So discipline, in this context, it's not restriction. It's the bridge between your dreams and your success.
That's a great way to put it. If you plant the seeds of spending, you harvest dependency. If you plant the seeds of discipline, you harvest freedom. It's a simple daily choice that dictates your life 20 years from now.
And if we are planting seeds, we need to make sure the soil is fertile and our container doesn't have holes. Principle 6 is essential here. Control cash flow. Know where your money goes.
Most people don't go broke from one catastrophic financial decision. The source says they drown in thousands of small ones.
The little leak.
The little leaks. They focus on the big expenses, like the mortgage, but they ignore the quiet killers. The unused gym membership, the 3 different streaming services, the daily convenience purchases. These are the financial leaks that slowly sink the ship.
And the sources stress that the rich respect money because they understand it's a tool. It has a job to do.
And that's why they track every dollar. Not because they're obsessive or cheap, but because they understand that what isn't measured can't be controlled. They sit down quarterly or even monthly to audit their expense sheet.
And the purpose of that audit isn't just to cut things.
No, it's to evaluate profitability. They ask, which of these spending items contribute to my future value and which are purely wasteful consumption? And they ruthlessly plug the leaks. If increasing your income without increasing your discipline only results in spending more, faster, then financial literacy has to start with absolute self-awareness.
Let's delve into the shocking expense sheet anecdote. This young man, highly paid, was constantly running out of money by the 20th of the month.
And he genuinely believed the problem was his salary. He just needed to earn more.
But when his mentor forced him to manually log every single expenditure for 30 days, he was forced to confront what the source calls his financial ghost.
And what was shocking wasn't some single large purchase. It was the aggregation of convenience spending. $10 here for takeout, $5 there for a premium coffee, 3 different monthly software subscriptions he barely even touched.
He wasn't poor from a lack of income?
He was poor from a lack of awareness and control. He was paying the convenience tax on a daily basis.
This highlights the mandatory exercise the source recommends for everyone, the 30-day spending audit. You need to write down everything you spend.
And here is the profound insight. If you feel uncomfortable, resistant, or even ashamed to look at where your money is going,
That's the sign.
that is the clearest sign that you are spending wrong. That discomfort is the signal that you are financially out of control.
Awareness is the prerequisite for freedom.
Absolutely. Imagine cutting just 10% of those non-essential wasteful expenses and redirecting that money, those reclaimed seeds, into an income-producing asset portfolio. The control you exert today immediately becomes the foundation of tomorrow's wealth. You have to issue a command. From today on, I will tell my money exactly where to go.
So once we control the daily current, we have to address the massive anchors that prevent any progress. Debt. Principle 10 is the Declaration of Independence. Choose ownership over the sweet trap of debt.
Debt is fundamentally the purchase of impatience.
I like that, the purchase of impatience.
It grants you the immediate feeling of having everything today, but it demands payment tomorrow, multiplied by interest. It promises a temporary high, but enforces a long-term slavery.
The source warns us with that powerful, blunt statement. If you buy what you don't need with money you don't have just to impress people you don't know, you're selling your future.
And so many people live their entire lives as employees of their own obligations. They're stuck in jobs they hate or they can't afford to take a risk on a new venture because the monthly payments, the interest on the fleeting enjoyment of the past, demand their constant grueling labor.
When you have that high-interest consumption debt, you just lose optionality.
You lose all of it. You can't say no to overtime. You can't take 6 months off to start a new business. You can't move to a lower cost of living area. Your financial pressure dictates your life, turning you into the employee of your own obligations.
This makes the crucial distinction between good debt and bad debt paramount. Most people only see debt as bad, but the wealthy use it strategically.
They absolutely do. Bad debt is purely consumption credit. We're talking credit cards, high-interest personal loans, car loans used to buy depreciating liabilities. It takes money out of your pocket every single month. It is the cost of impatience.
Okay, so what's good debt?
Good debt is leverage. It's borrowing only to buy income-producing assets, like taking a mortgage to buy a rental property that generates positive cash flow, or taking a strategic loan to expand a profitable business. This debt puts money into your pocket every month, and the asset itself pays for the loan.
So the rich aren't debt averse, they're just averse to bad debt.
Precisely. They use debt as a tool to acquire assets, never liabilities. Their borrowing increases their ownership stake in things that multiply value. The goal is always ownership, because ownership is the declaration of freedom.
The author's story about the piece of ownership really sticks with me. After years of struggling with business debt, he bought this small, modest plot of real estate outright. No mortgage, no loan.
And holding that deed, he said he felt a sense of peace and security that all the borrowed money and luxury spending of his younger years never, ever provided.
That peace is freedom.
It is. Ownership means control. The message is crystal clear. Aggressively eliminate high-interest, consumption debt, live on cash, and only leverage debt to buy things that generate income for you. The first step on the road to wealth is removing those heavy anchors of obligation.
We've cemented the mindset investing, and we've established the disciplined saving and managing debt. Now we move into the phase where wealth truly compounds, multiplication and growth.
Building systems that work while we sleep.
Which brings us to principle 3, diversify with discipline.
And this one first needs some clarification because diversification is one of the most misunderstood concepts in finance. Many listeners, especially those new to investing, think it just means scattering money everywhere.
Right, a tiny bit in stocks, a tiny bit in a cryptocurrency, a tiny bit in a friend's cafe startup.
That's classic activity over progress. When you spread yourself too thin, you lose focus, you don't understand any of the risks, and your power is completely diluted. The source material warns that this isn't diversification, it's recklessness.
So diversification isn't about dividing your wisdom.
No, it's about protecting your core strategy with disciplined balance. The disciplined approach means carefully choosing distinct asset classes that behave differently under different economic conditions.
And the wealthy divide their capital into three crucial pillars.
Yes, to ensure they have stability, growth potential, and untouchable personal assets.
Let's define pillar one, the safe portion. This is the stable foundation, right? Money allocated to minimize risk and volatility.
It is. It includes things like index funds, high-grade corporate or government bonds, and stable, diversified real estate investment trusts.
For our listeners, let's quickly define index funds because they really are the foundation of stability for long-term investors.
A great point. An index fund is essentially a basket that holds small pieces of every major company in a specific market like the S&P 500 in the U.S. This gives you immediate diversification, it protects you from any single company failing, and it removes the need to guess which individual winner to pick.
So this money grows slowly but steadily.
Like roots anchoring the entire financial structure, yes.
Okay, so pillar two is the growth portion. This is where the risk is higher, but the potential for multiplication is massive.
This includes things like individual stocks, high-potential startups, emerging markets, or investments in new technologies. These are the branches that are reaching upward. Not every branch is going to bear fruit, but the handful that succeed can drive significant multiplication and capital growth.
And then pillar three, which is the most powerful and often the most ignored.
Self-investment. This focuses on intangible assets, continuously learning new skills, improving your health, fortifying your mindset. This investment yields infinite returns because your knowledge, your resilience, and your ability to create value.
Can't be stolen.
It can't be stolen, it can't be taxed, and it can't be seized in a market crash. You're always your best, most liquid asset.
The philosophy here is the forest and the storm.
I love that analogy. If you only plant one kind of tree, a single blight or a single storm can wipe out everything. But if you plant different kinds of trees, some for shade, some for fruit, some long-lasting wood, when the storm hits, the forest, as a collective system, endures and thrives.
The moment you realize this, you protect yourself against this single point of failure. So many people who go bankrupt weren't bad investors.
They just had all their financial eggs in one basket. Their job, lose the job, and the entire ecosystem collapses. Diversification ensures that if one stream dries up, the others continue to flow, keeping you solvent and calm.
We return to that central theme of leverage with principle 4. Make money work for you. That 24-hour limit is the harsh reality. If you rely solely on your labor, the moment you take a vacation, get sick or retire, your money stops flowing. You're chained to the clock.
The rich just categorically reject this limitation. They understand the goal is to create systems where their money becomes their most loyal employee.
An invisible employee.
An invisible employee that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without needing sleep or rest or sick days.
This is the tragedy of the man working 16 hours a day from the source material. He thought he was on the fast track to wealth.
But the harsh counter-insight was, you're just getting better at being tired. He was confusing activity with production. The wealthy work hard on the systems. The average worker works hard in the system.
So leverage means that every dollar you invest wisely functions as that invisible employee, tirelessly seeking profit and growth.
And when you multiply those dollars into hundreds or thousands of silent workers, you are freed from the necessity of laboring to survive. You move from clocking hours to managing cash flow.
So what are these systems? They aren't just Wall Street investments. They include cash flow generating assets.
Right, like dividend stocks that pay you a small amount every quarter, rental real estate where your tenants pay down the debt and provide income.
Or scalable businesses, like a membership site or an automated service that can generate recurring revenue without your daily input.
This is what they call the magic of passive income. That first dividend check, that first small rent check. It may seem tiny, but it flows consistently, even when you are asleep. And crucially, that tiny cash stream represents a system you built that is working independently of your time.
And that cash stream however small, can be reinvested to generate a slightly bigger stream next time.
And that is the definition of compound interest in system building at work. Every dollar creates more dollars, nurturing a financial ecosystem where the seeds endlessly sprout into a financial forest.
The absolute necessity for the listener, then, is to audit their capital. Is my money resting, or is it working?
If it's resting, it's actively losing value to inflation every single day. The challenge is to build that first stream of passive income this year, no matter how small. A $50 dividend is a huge financial victory because it means you now have an employee working for you 24/7.
That concept of money working for you leads us inevitably to Principle 11. Double your assets, the power of compound interest. This is the concept that Einstein allegedly called the eighth wonder of the world.
But understanding it mathematically is easy. Internalizing it psychologically is incredibly hard.
Why is that?
Because compound interest is the reward for patience, but it hides its power. For the first 5 years, it often feels completely insignificant. You invest $1,000, and a year later, maybe it's $1,050. It's boring.
And this is the psychological barrier.
It is. Most people abandon the strategy during the slow growth phase because they want immediate returns. They lack the patience.
The tree growth metaphor really helps us visualize the patience required here.
It does. A tree spends its first years establishing deep, invisible roots, the foundation. From the surface, it seems unchanged. But once those roots are established, the growth accelerates exponentially.
And by the 10th year, it's bearing fruit.
And crucially, those fruits contain more seeds to plant than the original effort required. The multiplication becomes unstoppable and self-feeding.
This is why consistency wins over brilliance in investing. The sources cite this story of the ordinary woman who invested $200 a month at age 25 into a simple, diversified index fund, earning 10% annually.
And by age 55, her assets exceeded $400,000. She didn't have any special knowledge or a high salary. She simply allowed time and consistency to leverage the exponential power of compounding.
That's the crucial insight. If she had waited until age 35, she would have needed to invest exponentially more to catch up because she lost the most valuable resource, those initial compounding years.
We can even simplify the math for our listener using the Rule of 72.
That's a great technical tool. How does it work?
The Rule of 72 tells you approximately how long it takes for your money to double. You just take the number 72 and divide it by your annual rate of return.
Okay, so if you're earning, say, 7.2% per year, you divide 72 by 7.2.
And you get 10. Your money doubles every 10 years. If you wait 10 years to start, you have eliminated one entire doubling cycle of your life.
But in today's environment, with high inflation and rapid technological change, does this slow, consistent compounding still feel relevant? Isn't the pressure to get rich fast higher than ever?
The pressure is high, but the underlying law remains. The path to getting rich sustainably is to create systems that multiply value over time. Trying to get rich fast typically involves high-risk, emotional investing, and market timing all behaviors the wealthy actively avoid. They understand their system is built on compounding, which is inherently patient.
And crucially, this principle applies beyond just money.
Oh, absolutely. It's the compound interest of wisdom. Reading one book won't make you a genius tomorrow, but doing it for 10 years creates a depth of knowledge that completely separates you from your peers. It is the steady accumulation of small, persistent efforts that ultimately creates mastery and freedom.
The goal, therefore, isn't finding the fastest route.
The goal is simply to start. The compounding clock only rewards those who commit and remain patient, regardless of the size of that initial seed.
In our final section, we look at refining the process, moving from simply growing assets to strategically protecting them, ensuring their flow, and cementing their purpose for future generations.
Right. Optimizing the harvest.
Starting with Principle 8, prioritize cash flow freedom begins with flow.
This one addresses the common appearance trap. So many people focus entirely on building assets on paper, the huge, expensive house, the luxury boat. But these things are liabilities that demand constant work to maintain. They look wealthy, but are financial prisoners.
The source material is very clear on this. Assets can make you look rich, but only cash flow makes you free.
And we see that classic anecdote. The man with millions in paper assets, a large home, a valuable stock portfolio, yet he struggled every single month to pay his high utility bills and property taxes. His wealth was illiquid and didn't generate enough flow to cover his lifestyle.
And you contrast that with the man who had substantially less paper net worth. maybe a few $100,000 in equity.
But he owned 3 modest rental apartments and a stable dividend portfolio. And he told the author, I may not be a millionaire on paper, but I'm free.
Why?
Because his cash flow exceeded his cost of living. That flow allowed him to live on his own terms, focusing on his family and his health, not his job.
So the question has to fundamentally shift from what can I buy
Mm.
to will this pay me back?
It's the non-negotiable cash flow first, image later principle. You delay the luxury consumption until your assets are paying for it automatically.
This changes the very definition of a true asset. A house is only a true asset if it generates positive cash flow.
For example, if you rent out a portion of it, or if it's purely a rental unit, if it costs you money every month, it is a liability, however valuable it may look on paper.
And a business only has real value if it can operate and profit without your daily physical presence.
If it depends entirely on you, it's not an asset, it's a high-paying job.
I think many listeners get stuck here because building a cash-flowing asset seems completely overwhelming. They think they need millions for a real estate portfolio or to start a business.
And that's the wrong starting point. The actionable step is concrete. Build at least one stream of passive income this year. Start with something small and manageable.
Like renting out a spare room.
Renting a spare room, creating a simple digital product that sells repeatedly, or starting a micro-dividend portfolio. The key is to see that first drop of consistent cash flow. That small drop is proof that you have created an invisible employer, and every great river begins with a single drop.
Principle 9 is often cited as the real secret of the wealthy. Keep what you earn, the art of tax optimization. It's not about how much you make.
It's about how much you keep after you make it.
Ignorance is, financially speaking, the most expensive tax of all.
It really is. The average person works hard, gets paid, and then pays taxes on their gross income. They allow inflation, government taxes, and fees to just erode their wealth. The wealthy, however, don't view taxes as a burden.
They see them as a set of rules.
A game designed to encourage certain economic behaviors, specifically value creation.
It's crucial to emphasize here. This is about legal management and optimization, not evasion.
Absolutely not evasion. Tax codes are written to incentivize investment in things like housing, job creation, and certain retirement vehicles. If you understand the rules, you can operate within them to accelerate your path to wealth.
The author's mentor put it very bluntly. Do you want to be the biggest taxpayer or the wisest at keeping what you earn?
The rich manage their taxes. They don't just comply blindly. Every single dollar saved on taxes is another dollar that can be immediately invested into a compounding asset. That tax saving is instantly leveraged.
Let's detail the structures that create this freedom. The most common is moving from being a wage earner to operating through a company structure, like an LLC or an S-corp.
When you operate as a company, you pay taxes on your profit, not your gross income. This structure allows you to legitimize necessary expenses, business travel, home office expenses, marketing before the tax calculation is made.
So average people spend their money after tax.
And the rich invest their money and then deduct the investment costs before tax. It's a fundamental shift.
Another key mechanism the source highlights is utilizing asset depreciation, particularly in real estate. This is a technical concept that sounds complex, but is crucial.
Depreciation allows you to deduct the natural decline in value of an asset, like a rental building on paper, even if the property is actually appreciating in the market.
So it's a phantom deduction.
Exactly. No cash leaves your pocket, but it legally lowers your taxable income, sometimes dramatically.
This multiplier effect is enormous. An entrepreneur mentioned in the source stated they never spend a dollar before thinking about which part of it could reduce their tax liability or count as a business expense.
And that's the mindset shift. Working smarter with your structure, not just working harder in your job. By dedicating time to learning basic tax law or working with an excellent CPA, you simply keep more of your harvest.
Now we step back from the technical to the more philosophical purpose behind all this wealth accumulation. Legacy. Principle 7. Think legacy, build lasting wealth. This really asks why we're doing all this hard work in the first place.
The source breaks wealth down into 3 levels that define intent. The smart make money to live comfortably.
The wise make money to be free from dependency.
But the great make money to leave something enduring behind. True wealth operates on a multi-generational timescale.
This is William's wisdom. The elderly man whose success the author studied shared his secret. I work so that the people I love would never have to start from zero.
That changes the nature of the assets you build. You start to prioritize durability, sustainability, and education over immediate luxury consumption.
But the greatest legacy isn't the bank account balance, which can be easily lost. It's the philosophy. The source introduces the idea of the spiritual legacy fund.
This is the reservoir of mindset, principles, and values. We've all seen the classic pattern. Parents leave a large sum of money to children who never learned the principles of hard work, discipline, and investment.
And that wealth is almost always gone within a few years.
Because the philosophy wasn't passed down. Money without the right mindset is just a temporary gift.
Conversely, parents who prioritize teaching financial literacy, entrepreneurial drive, and discipline, even if they leave very little actual capital, often see their children become far wealthier.
Because they were left the true engine of wealth creation, the knowledge base.
Thinking beyond your own lifetime changes your priorities.
It does. You invest in sustainability over short-term profit. You're building companies or endowments that are designed to exist long after you are gone, providing opportunities, scholarships, or employment for your descendants and your community.
The ultimate question for the listener is, if I were to leave today, what part of me, my values, my systems, my principles, would still remain tomorrow?
Legacy isn't something created at the end of life. It's something you plant and cultivate every single day.
And finally, we reach Principle 12, which is the most overlooked and potentially the highest returning asset of all. Invest in relationships.
The author states that if you have the best idea in the world but no one trusts you, you will fail. But if you have strong, trustworthy relationships, you can turn a mediocre idea into a massive success.
Money can buy services, but only genuine relationships open doors to opportunities and capital.
Let's revisit Alan, the talented entrepreneur who was stuck. He had the finance skills, he had the business plan, but he couldn't get funding or the right partners.
And when his mentor asked him, "How many people are willing to speak well of you when you're not in the room?" he just fell silent.
That silence was his financial ceiling. Success rarely comes from standing alone. It comes from the network, the trust, and the credibility you build. Alan realized the idea is only 20% of success. The people, the team, and the network are 80%.
But relationships and networking can feel so transactional or manipulative. How do we ensure we're building genuine connections, not just using people?
That's the defining line between networking and genuine relationship building. The wealthy approach this by planting value first. They help, they share, and they offer assistance before they ever ask for anything in return. They understand the unchanging rule. The most valuable person in the room is the one who helps the most others succeed without keeping score.
Credibility is capital.
Trust is an asset that yields infinite returns. A friend can introduce you to a critical investor. A mentor can help you avoid a million-dollar mistake. Our reputation for integrity ensures that opportunities come looking for you, rather than you having to hunt for them.
Money can be lost, assets can collapse.
But if you have a strong network built on trust, you can rebuild faster than anyone who operates alone. That network is, ultimately, your net worth.
This leaves us with a final practical challenge for the listener. Evaluate your 5 closest people. Are they helping you grow, intellectually, physically, and financially? Or are they anchors holding you back?
Because you will inevitably become the average of the 5 closest people to you. If you want to elevate your life, the first investment you make might need to be in elevating the quality of the relationships around you.
So we've covered 12 golden principles today, from commanding your money to invest instead of consume, to building systematic leverage, and finally to cementing your purpose with legacy and relationships.
And these principles, they're not about market timing or complex spreadsheets. They are about philosophy, discipline, and long-term behavioral change.
True financial freedom doesn't begin when you hit a certain number in your bank account. It starts with a foundational decision in your mind.
A commitment that from today forward, you will control money, structure it, and command it to work for you, rather than letting it control you.
Every principle we've discussed is a brick in the foundation of that financial freedom. You now have the map for how to move from earning a salary to building self-sustaining assets.
But the map requires movement. As the source material emphatically reminds us, discipline is the bridge between dreams and success. And that bridge is one you must cross yourself.
No one can plant those seeds for you.
No one can audit those expenses or build that legacy for you.
So what does this all mean for the immediate future? The challenge is not just to learn these rules, but to immediately start applying the single, small habit of planting a seed today, regardless of how insignificant that initial start feels.
We'll leave you with the final provocative thought, the ultimate call to action from the wisdom we shared. You and I both have a gift. It's today. Use it wisely. The compound interest clock only rewards those who start. What single, consistent action will you commit to right now?